Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my non-binary friends, welcome to this week's episode of the What the Fluff podcast. Hope you guys have had a lovely weekend. Hope you guys enjoyed your Valentine's Day. And I'm very excited for this week's episode. I feel like I say that about every episode because I love doing this. And yes, you guys can expect these podcasts now every Tuesday. Now that I have the weekends off, it's easier for me to get those podcasts shot over the weekend, get those thumbnails created so I can get everything uploaded for you beautiful people by Tuesday. So today I have started to enjoy sort of creating a theme of the week. And one thing that I noticed last week throughout my conversations, throughout my engaging on Twitter and with people in the community and even with chats that we've had on stream, one of the biggest things that I felt like I needed to address or that I wanted to talk about because it's something that I struggle with is assuming and just assumptions in general. So much of this boils down to communication and expectation, which of course we had a podcast on, but I feel like to put it into the language of assumptions is is very important. And I will start off with the example that led me to ruminate on this so much. There was a conversation we were having in stream the other day, and we were talking about timeliness. Now, I used to be the type of person where I was 5 minutes early everywhere. If you were a minute late, like I took pride on the fact that I was there by 5:55 and I was 5 minutes early. Like I wanted to let you know that I was 5 minutes early. And if you were a minute late, you are a piece of shit. How dare you? And I'm almost trying to one thing that I've been trying to figure out is when I stopped caring. And I don't think there was ever just a specific moment where I decided, fuck it, I don't care about being on time anymore. Or I will actually specify, it's not that I don't care about being on time. It's not a priority for me. Now, if you can, in your brain, if that means you don't care, that's awesome. It's a difficult thing for me because I feel like this podcast is just turning into a second conversation about timeliness. I swear to God, we'll get to what I'm talking about. The thing when it comes to timeliness and why that conversation started to irritate me was included in sort of the example that I was giving in the beginning, is that we make it about ourselves and the fact that we are on time and that other person couldn't be on time, so they don't care about us, or fuck them, they could have easily gotten here on time. It's not that hard. There's 24 hours. Bullshit. To me. Bullshit. All of that is assuming. All of that is assuming that that other person was being lazy or didn't have something going on in their life. That person maybe doesn't have stress and anxiety about going to a social situation that they might have to deal with. Maybe there's so many reasons why someone can be late. And that is what I'm trying to bleed out to the bigger picture, which is there are so many reasons why every person does everything. And to sit here and to assume that this person is late because of, this person didn't reply to me because of, this person said this thing to me because of, we end up telling ourselves this story, creating this narrative, not only about ourselves in relation to this other person, but about this other person that is completely untrue and sets false expectations or presents a false truth of the situation. And I'm going to drop something that's about to fucking blow everyone's mind. Did you talk to your friend or person about being late or about X, Y, or Z? Did the person know that being on time is important to you? Did the person know that you had something after this that was important? Now, as the late person, did you communicate the fact that you were running late? Did you communicate the fact that you were feeling stressed and anxious about going and meeting your friend? Did you communicate with them about X, Y, or Z? And that is all. I feel like this is going to be one of the quickest fucking episodes that we can ever have on this gosh darn podcast. Because assumptions ruin the mutual experience between two people. Because unspoken and unresolved expectations can ruin the experience of two people. And when you assume, you have set you haven't set an expectation, but you've just told a story that is not based in reality because you haven't truly understood what the other person is going through. Now, here's a big part of this. If you are an on-time person, fucking great, dude. I'm so happy that works for you. If you are not an on-time person, or I should say, I actually would like to rephrase that because I believe people prioritize what they care about or what matters to them. To me, you showing up at 7:00 on the dot doesn't make you a good friend to me. That's not, I truly could not care if we have plans. I guess this just goes to the fact that you need to know what you're expecting from yourself and make sure that it is explained to the other person. Because when you make that assumption, you set that expectation for the person that they did not agree to. The expectation that you have set between you and that person was something that you both did not agree on. So the chances of you being disappointed are far greater. This is why I communicate with my friends. This is why I use the language, hey, let's touch base around, or let's meet around. I don't say at, because I enjoy living my life. I enjoy being in the moment. And you know what? If I'm reading a chapter of my book before the thingy thing that we're about to go do, and I finish the chapter and that means I'm 15 minutes late, guess what? I'm going to let you know that. And we have already agreed upon the fact that, yeah, we'll meet around this time. We'll touch base. And that level of freedom, that level, there's my perspective as someone who used to not communicate these things is that we are scared to let people know what we actually want, because that gives another person an option to say they don't want that. And that's hard as a person. It's hard when there is something that we want or need and the other person is unable to give that to us. But the beauty of non-assumption, the beauty about communicating these things is that you get to know right away whether or not you are going, like, there's no letdown in a way, because you've set that expectation out there and that person will either be able to say, I can do that or I can't. And if they say, I can't, that's freeing. That's so beautiful, because then you don't have to focus on the fact that you could be disappointed, because you know that that person isn't going to be able to meet that need. And while that might be sad, that just means that there's someone else that will be able to, which is why if I have zero friends in my life that if I say, hey, I'll call you around 7. Like, there's a balance in that. If we have something serious planned, I'll call. There's also times where we both know we're living our life and I might not talk to him until tomorrow, but neither situation is held against the other person, because we've had the deep, deep conversations about what is expected, there are absolutely zero assumptions. And if there ends up being some assumptions and one of us is disappointed, we communicate about that. So that's not to say that assumptions aren't, we're going to assume. It's what humans do. But there gets to be a time where you can feel those assumptions and you can feel when you might not be giving another person a chance to to just be themselves. I hope that's making sense. Because there's one thing I can't stand, it's assumptions. I can't stand when I see someone that says, oh, someone is doing X because of X. You don't know. Did you ask that person? No? Then either you care about that person or situation enough to investigate, or just don't focus on it. Because sitting there and shit talking or saying that, oh, this person did this because this, you putting that energy towards these assumptions does absolutely nothing. Literally zero things. The only way to actually resolve this is to find the truth, is to communicate, is to know, hey, why did this bothered me? What was this? Or, hey, I thought, and that's why beautiful statements like, hey, I thought this was going to be what happened, but this happened. What were you expecting? Or, hey, I thought going into this that this was going to be what was going to happen. What was it that you were hoping? And it's so simple, yet difficult. But when I tell you that I have the most fulfilling relationships in my entire life right now, in a way, by over communicating expectations. And that's a thing that it feels untrue to say, the fact that there's an over communication. To an extent, I do not feel there's an over communication, as long as it's productive and it's trying to help foster a relationship where both people can feel as free and loved and supported as possible. Those, hey, what are you expecting? I'm expecting. What are you expecting? I'm expecting. Those conversations are so magical because you find yourself in that. You find the humanity of another person in that, because you realize that we all have these needs, or we all have these expectations and things that we want to happen, or we think need to happen, or we feel is important to someone else or isn't important to someone else. But we only are able to know unless we actually talk to another person, unless we open ourselves to what they're going through, their truth. And when we do that, and when we drop those assumptions, and when we just talk to a person and try and truly listen to their heart, beautiful things happen. So, I mean, shit, I kind of don't have much else to say at this point. This one is quick, very quick, but I hope that you guys were able to get something out of this. That's going to be like I'm going to have to make a What the Fluff podcast shirt that just says, I hope y'all got something out of this, because I know I loved talking about it. I have become obsessed with expectations, with communicating, with understanding, because it's become the most free I've ever been. Because there's no guessing. Everything is known. And that's one of the most beautiful things that I've ever experienced. So I hope that you guys are able to take something away, that you guys are able to apply this somewhere in your life. Next time you feel an assumption, ask someone. Kind of feel it in your body. Like, what was I assuming? What did I want to happen? What was I expecting from this? What were they expecting from this? And see what happens. Have the conversation. Communicate. It's a beautiful thing. Thank you guys for tuning in to another beautiful, beautiful episode. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, night, morning, whatever the fluff it is you guys got going on as you're listening to this. Thank you so much. And I'll catch you next Tuesday for another episode of What the Fluff. I appreciate the fluff out of y'all. Good night.